Hey guys, welcome back to the channel once again. Kenroy here, and today I'm joined with the lovely Sophia once again. Thank you guys so much for all your support on our previous video. We really appreciated all of the comments as we sort of shared our experience in how we got to where we are now.
In today's video, we'll be picking up where we left off, where we've started our journey, you know, going down memory lane, looking back at when we first met in our younger years.
So guys, if you're new to our channel, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, as the channel is growing, and we thank you so much in advance for all of your support. And to those who visit us regularly, we want to say a huge thank you once again for all of your support, especially the comments. You know, they've really been so helpful, and I'm sure others are benefiting from those comments. So please, if you got any questions or anything to add, post them in the comment down below and we always respond. So guys, we're going to go straight into it today because we know that these are longer videos and we want to try and give as much information as possible without taking up too much of your time, of course. So the first question that I'm going to ask is, when did reality kick in about the cost of buying a house? And you know, I'm really interested to see what Sophia is going to say on this one because I've always been the one that's been really into property. So when did reality kick in for you about the cost of buying houses?
So I think the reality kicked in when we had Naomi and we were like, well, we can't be staying at Mom's forever, we need the space. And our neighbour's property was up for sale. I don't know if you remember, the ground floor flat. And I remember you always saying London is expensive, you know. I'd be like, oh, but if we work and save, surely we can afford. So I'd say that was when it really kicked in for me.
I remember the flat after knowing that she was moving out. It's a 1-bedroom ground floor flat. It's in a townhouse, literally next door to where we live. And you know, I was being a bit nosy, so I went on to Rightmove to check out how much it was actually being sold for. And to my surprise, this 1-bedroom flat was on the market for over 350,000, and I just thought to myself, that's just 1 bedroom. It didn't have 2 or 3, and it's going for so much. Now granted, I'm sure it was a nice flat, but that's when reality really kicked in for me that, you know, London was just so expensive. Even if we were able to afford somewhere, did I really want to spend all of that money on just one place when I know for a fact we could get, you know, cheaper elsewhere? So at that point, you know, we definitely realized that we needed to look further afield. And as we started doing so, I think we then realized that the surrounding areas were also very expensive, but you know, that's just the cost of buying a house these days. So that's when I realized, and like you said, you realized that it was so expensive. And for some people, obviously, it's going to be relative. 350,000 might not be that expensive for you. And if that's the case, well done you, is all I can say. But that is a substantial amount of money.
I thought you were going to go to auction. We used to watch a lot of Homes Under the Hammer, so I always imagined us having like a complete dump and him renovating it and putting his stamp on as we wanted.
That would be great, but you know, the reality of going to auction and buying a property is that it's not like what you always see on TV. The market is so saturated and so many people are looking to do it that it is quite tricky to do. But suffice to say, we didn't go down that route on this occasion, but who knows what the future may hold.
So the next question, Kenroy, is what prompted the move?
Yeah, the move. So, I mean, you probably can tell this story better than me, but I remember like it was yesterday, like 3 years ago. We came down to visit my brother who lives in the West Midlands, and it was a special occasion, bank holiday weekend in May. The sun was shining. It was just amazing. We went out for a picnic in the park, and you know, we were just having such an amazing time bonding with the family and just feeling so at home. And you know, the thought kind of came to our minds. I don't know if it was me or you.
Well, you were already looking on Rightmove because you knew that, you know, we wanted to start looking for somewhere to move to. And then you just did you know, I think you asked your brother his postcode and you just put it in Rightmove, and we saw properties that we could actually afford. Not like 5 years from then, but you know, like within our means. Yeah,
that's all it took really. That idea, that seed was planted. We realized that, do I want to spend 350,000 on a 1-bedroom flat, or do I want to spend, I don't know, 200,000 on a 4-bedroom house?
And we were seeing properties below 200,000, which was what really drove our move as well. And the weather was amazing.
Yeah, that did help. But the point is that, you know, having a relative that lived in this area was that catalyst that made us, you know, think about this location and this move. And the reality is that possibly if my brother and his wife hadn't lived here, we may never have visited, so we probably would have settled on somewhere else. When it comes time for you to look for a place to live, you need to think outside the box. Don't just limit yourself to where you sort of grew up and think, you know, well, if I can't afford a house here, then I'll just rent forever. You know, think about moving, guys, honestly. And that is one of the tips I would definitely give to you. Okay, guys, so the next question, which is a big one for Sophia, is how did we handle finding a new job? Now, the number one question that many people, you know, normally say is that if you're moving, you know, location from, say, London to the Midlands, how are you going to find a job? You know, how are you going to pay for your bills and so on? I heard they don't have jobs in that region. What are you going to do? You know, who knew that they had jobs in the West Midlands? And I mean, how do people survive here? And survive really well, actually. But the reality is that wherever you go in the country, there will be jobs available. And you know, don't be afraid of moving is what I would say. So Sophia, maybe you can share about your experience, you know, in terms of work, and then, you know, I'll do the same.
Yeah, no, so I'd say you said, how did we handle it? So I think as soon as we decided that this was going to be the place, so this was May that we visited, and we were like sold on the location, I just started improving on my CV, getting my competencies up, and just started applying, looking for different roles in the area. There was clearly, you know, reduced amount of jobs in my particular area, but there were jobs once I started looking. I guess I was very optimistic and very positive about it. We had settled on the property before we actually had jobs as well. But a wing and a prayer.
I think that's a big one. So when we moved, I moved basically without a job.
Yeah, no.
You moved with a job, but it was on, you know, you had to travel back to London.
Yeah, no, and that was a big one in terms of the company that I was working with. So I kept the communication open from the outset with my manager, you know, that we were looking to move. I then looked at, you know, work adjustments that could be made, and, you know, praise God, they were so willing and so keen to keep me on, and also to help me with, you know, commuting as well, getting Naomi settled into nursery. So we had lots of different things to juggle. So I think one of the most important things was having, you know, good flowing communication with my manager, letting her know where we stand, getting my competencies and getting back into the swing of interviews and all the skills that I needed to gain. And the world's your oyster once you apply yourself, I think. Going
back to the whole point that, you know, we're people of faith, and we actually, you know, trust in God in saying that, okay, we've gotten this house now, there are jobs available, all we need to do is just to apply, and one will come our way. And my sector, I just signed up with an agency straight away. I know at the very least I'll be able to get work through an agency. I didn't worry, I was more concerned about the state of the garden than actually finding a job. And yeah, within no time I was able to get work, employment through an agency. So with hard work and obviously dedication, I was able to get the permanent role there. And if you have a faith in God, you know, that will go a long way in giving you that peace to know that you'll be able to overcome whatever challenges may come your way.
For me, it's all about God's timing, and I don't think anything in your life, no doors will be open until it's your time for it to happen. And when we reflected, we actually moved a year before the pandemic started. So, you know, we were thinking last year, March, you know, what our move would have been like had it been then. So, you know.
Absolutely. If you're thinking about moving to a new area, where possible, if you can move to the area and perhaps rent for a little while you search for a job, or if you can potentially get a job in the area before you've bought a house, move there and rent for a little while, and to basically see how things are. You know, there's no one way to do this. Our situation was different, we did it slightly different, but it worked out. So, you know, it's up to you to decide. But the fundamental principle is that there are jobs out there. Wherever you move to, there are people already living there, so they must have jobs, right? So, you know, don't be scared. just take the plunge as soon as you're ready to do so. Okay guys, so moving on, the next question is, how did Naomi settle into, you know, moving into a new environment, moving away from everyone that she sort of knew and grew up with, family, friends, nursery, all of that stuff? That was a big concern for us, but how did she actually settle in, would you say?
Yeah, well, I know we spent a lot of time talking to her about it. We even took out some books from the library on, you know, moving and different traveling books as well. We spoke about it a lot. We visited a few times before we actually moved. We moved closest to one of her very favourite uncles. I know another uncle or two might not be happy. No, but you know, and I think we also visited a few nurseries before, so ahead of moving we did the applications and asked if we could do like an open day visit, and they did it for us sort of, you know, independently. We're the only parents who were able to be, you know, taken around the different schools and nurseries, because we had to do both applications at the same time.
Absolutely.
I think we moved at a really crucial point in Naomi's life because she was just about to start primary school. So even though it was a bit unsettling, it wasn't as damning, as it were, to her, because she was still very young. And we were able to.
It was a good time to transition, because, like you said, she hadn't yet started school. Although she was in nursery, you know, she wouldn't have been leaving too much of her core friends as such, you know, once you go to school. And
I think another important thing that made it so easy for us was that Naomi was just so happy to have her own room with her pink walls that she had been praying for. I think that really cushioned it for us as well, because it was a totally different environment. But you know, having her own little space, and Daddy's made it so cozy with my little touches as well.
Absolutely.
You know, it's something that she was looking forward to. So yeah, I guess it's based on also your family needs, and that compensates for the things that you may not have as close to you. But London is only a 2-hour drive, so.
Absolutely. And lastly, the only thing I can say to that is just to communicate. You know, children are incredibly resilient, and they understand more than we sometimes think they do.
Very true.
So just tell them, and you know, be prepared to just be a bit, not harsh, but just be prepared to be firm. In love, of course, and then they'll understand, and before you know it, they'll make new friends. Whether they start a new school, they'll love their new room, the garden, and the list goes on and on and on. And you know, before long, they feel like they're right at home. Okay, the next question, and I think I've got an idea what my wife's gonna say in regards to this. The next question is, do we have any regrets in regards to moving and buying our first home? I'm gonna pitch this one to you, Saf. Any regrets?
Wow, anybody who knows me. I think the main one for me has to do with food. So in our neck of the woods, there's not that many options around, and anyone who knows me knows how much I love West Green Road for all my West Indian food. But now we make frequent trips into Birmingham when I can.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides, you know, when you move out of a cosmopolitan place like a massive city like London, where everything is so readily available, you've got to have compromises. And from instead of a 10-minute or 15-minute drive, we now have to do a 30-minute one, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that much different. But you know, so yeah, Sophia regrets not having all of our foods that she enjoyed eating.
But now you plant a lot of pumpkin.
Well, yeah, but I just can't seem to grow some of the stuff that grow abroad. I'm still working on it. I think for me, in terms of regrets, one of the biggest one, I think the one at the top of the list with buying this property was this little thing called a right of passage, or a right of way as some people know it, or an easement. And that's when you have a walkway that's on your land or through your property where your neighbors can, or others can have access to, whether it's to get to their property or to get to their garden or whatever. And when we were in the process of buying this place, we recognized that there was a right of passage, to which we inquired about, which leads on to my next point of regret, which is that the conveyancer that was dealing with our process of buying this property wasn't the best in communication. and you know, we really found out about this rite of passage quite late, and there was not much we can do apart from pull out or try to get some form of you know, agreement to say that it would be able to be relinquished. But suffice to say, we did come up with an agreement verbally between the two parties involved and ourselves, and we thought that that would have been okay. And I suppose that's what happens, you know, you sort of live and you learn, and when you're novices you do make mistakes.
Yeah. I guess one good thing, we have amazing neighbours, so that sort of makes up for it as well.
Definitely. So, you know, we weren't able to then get the rights relinquished because one of the neighbour had sold their property around the same time.
Who gave us the agreement. Oh yeah, that's
as
true.
we were about to move in, and you know, once she moved out, the new neighbours sort of refused to actually relinquish that right of passage. So that's the only downside, but you know, as they say, every disappointment can turn around to be a blessing. So we haven't taken it negatively. We still have a fantastic home, we're still happy, but if I was to say if there were any regrets, those would be my two in regards to buying this property, that we didn't do our due diligence into what these rite of passage and stuff like this actually means. So my tip for you is to make sure you get anything that is agreed while you're going through the, you know, the conveyancing process. Get it in writing. I know it seems like a simple thing, but you know, you don't want to be in a position like us where it wasn't in writing and basically you can't move forward. So thank you guys so much for sticking around. If you made it this far, we want to say a huge thank you. So the final question that we're going to ask is, what would you say to someone, Sophia, if they were following on behind us? Perhaps they're watching this video right now. We could be talking to you. What could we say to an individual watching this right now in regards to our journey so far? And what encouragement would you give to them if they're thinking about buying their own home and you know starting a family in order to, you know, achieve all of their dreams?
Ah, from the wise one, the fountain of knowledge.
Don't talk about food.
Oh, that was at the top of the list.
Oh no.
Okay. All right. So if I had to pass on any advice or any tips to anyone, I firstly would say, because I know this would have been completely impossible had we not stayed at home.
Yeah.
So if it is convenient and if it is possible, so even if it's not ideal, even if there might be a few arguments, even if you might want your own space then and there, think of what the future holds. And also, you are able at that point in your life to build on your relationships with your family as well. As much as we might see it as, oh, I'm married, or oh, I'm of age, I need to move out. You know, our parents or our guardians or anyone who would open up their home and be happy to have you there, not only are you going to be able to save, you're also going to be able to learn how to manage your money. You might be, you know, in your first job, you know, you've got other friends who have it all and can, you know, spend as they like. But if you're like us, living on a budget, you know, wanting better for yourself and for your family, you know, if you've got a family member or anyone who would be willing for you to live with them, I'd say, I love working with spreadsheets, and you know, just hold yourself accountable on a monthly basis to the amount that you're going to save. And what else do I need to say?
No, I think you've covered it. That's a really good tip. I think what I would say in regards to, you know, someone who's watching this now, thinking about their future and their dreams, is that, you know, a lot of people think that when you're young is a time when you go out and you travel and you party and have a wonderful time. And while there is some truth to that, you know, you find a lot of young people who seldom think about, okay, what's going to happen in 10 years time? You know, it's only after the party and then the enjoyment is finished, then you now think, okay, now I need to start saving for a house, to get married and to have children. But in actual fact, that should have been a priority of yours, so that once you've achieved those things, hopefully earlier, you could then think to yourself, oh, I want to go on holiday with my friends or my family, or, you know, I want to buy this nice car, or whatever it is that you think is a luxury or something that you want to enjoy. Who says you can't enjoy it once you've acquired your first house or gotten married or started a family? Now, Sophia and I have actually realized that it's a lot more richer to actually have the time now that we've secured a home for our family We're both working, we've started a family. You know, the holidays and the trips and everything else, you know, are a lot more special now. So, you know, don't be tricked into thinking that you can only have fun when you're young, you know, and, you know, when you've just out of university, or, you know, when you haven't been married or bought a house yet. You know, you have to really think about your future as early as possible.
Start saving as early as possible.
Oh, yeah.
Put down that £20 every month, you know, even if it's you're not working, or you know, you're getting pocket money and stuff. I think, because I don't know, do we have young people watching us as well?
I hope
or
so.
even, you know, influencing your children, you know? No, it's so important. Saving is so important. If I knew what I know now, I know that things would have been a lot different.
Yeah.
And I guess not all of us, like you, can get it from the value of money from such a young age. And I think that is something that's so vitally important.
Powerful.
And maybe more, well, I've been out of school for some time now, but I think maybe more emphasis should be placed on it.
Yeah,
in sort
absolutely.
of GCSEs, and just understanding the value of saving. And
if you are a young person, or if you have children, open up a separate bank account, even if it's with another bank.
yeah, and another tip that we could recommend is, you know, keep your family in the loop. We're very family orientated, and you know, you may have some family members who would be willing to help you as well.
Yeah.
If they don't know what your plans are, you know, so do talk to them, talk to your uncles, talk to your aunties, you know, because as a family, you know, they want to see you do better as well. So it could be that you finally saved up enough, you've found the property that you want to purchase, but you just need the little extra help for the legal costs, for the moving. But if you've not spoken to anyone, then nobody knows anything about it. And if you're very isolated and you're like, no, I'm super independent, I can do this on my own, then there could be people who are ahead of you or who are willing to help, but because of the lack of communication, they're not in a position to assist. I guess a loan from a family member is always best.
So I know I said the final question last time, but this is absolutely the final one. I promise. So what next for us, Sophia? What do you see in our future?
Well, in our future,
I know where this is going. Go on then, let's have it.
so in our future I see another child, preferably male. No, just joking.
Yeah, male, please.
He's totally outnumbered.
Oh,
I loved
man.
watching Outnumbered as well. But anywho's, in our future, so I pray that we'll be healthy and well, that our children will be well, and for us, for your channel to grow, for us to be able to produce amazing content that will, you know, inspire us. It's been so amazing looking back as well, because I think, you know, you just roll with the punches and you go ahead, but it's always good to reflect. So property investment, as the Jamaican saying is, every mickle make a muckle. We've been able to save our little bit. Did I get that right?
You did. I need to...
One cork fill basket.
Oh gosh,
Yes,
I'm gonna have to do some
you have to
translations.
start small, you know, just start with the little bit that you have. And yeah, property investment is definitely Kenra's thing, and I'm fully behind. I'm learning as I go along. I look forward to the weekly videos as well, and all the ways of saving. Like, who knew about top cashback, that if you shop online you can, you know,
we've
save
wasted so much over the years. So definitely guys, in terms of our future, as Sophia said, I want to keep on growing this channel because I know that it's been of so much benefit to so many people, and the comments that we've been receiving and the support has been really, really helpful. And in terms of our investments, you know, we're investing not because we're planning on becoming multi-millionaires, even though that wouldn't be a bad thing by no stretch, but we want to basically put ourselves in a place where we'll be comfortable enough that if we even lose our jobs tomorrow, you know, we wouldn't be panicking, and we feel, you know, confident that we'll be able to look after our families. And one thing that's sort of a legacy from our parents is that we really want to leave a legacy behind so that our children can have an inheritance, so that they hopefully won't have to grow up and struggle the way we did. You know, not to say we're going to make it super easy for them. We want them to appreciate what they've got, So in terms of investing in our in our futures through property and other means, it's definitely something that we're looking forward to sharing. If you stuck around to the very end, I want to say huge thank you for all of your support. You know, I hope that the information that we've shared today, you know, we've shared a lot of our experience on this second video, and I hope that it has been beneficial to you and that you'll be able to take something that you've learned perhaps from these videos and apply it to your own life.
So if you've got any comments or any questions, do remember to put them down below. You know, not only will it help us, but it will also be able to help others who are a part of this community and maybe thinking of the same questions that you're thinking of. Any questions you may have, just put them down below. No questions are too simple, too silly. If you think of that question, somebody else might also want the answer to it. So just share it with us. We'll be happy to answer it.
As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. This is Kenroy and Sophia saying, we'll see you when you see us. Take care.